Good afternoon. Yes, I'm drinking coffee. The only way to get through this conversation. Last night, in fact, all day yesterday, I had been bombarded with what I can describe as hate comments for my book, The Oath of Florian, which, let's talk about those comments. I went on Facebook, not Reddit, Facebook, and there's a bunch of pages and community pages for promoting authors like me. I write under a pseudonym. The pseudonym is called F. Bennett Cole, which I rebranded as Julian Blackwood. I changed it because I like the name better. When I was writing under F. Bennett Cole, I wrote one book, The Oath of Florian, which was a book about ancient Rome and LGBTQ love. What many people seemed to understand or did not understand at the time, I wrote it with AI. ChatGPT, to be precise. I used ChatGPT as an assistant to help me write. I never used AI to do that. I just used it for fun because I just didn't know what it can do. I just didn't know that it would be a controversial conversation until I kept watching videos about how bad AI is for the planet. Now I know. Now I know how bad AI is for the planet and how defensive people can be. To the point where I gotten death threats. And this is not to need to project. I mean, there have been comments on my post on Instagram that I had to delete, telling me that I should, unalive myself because of that. And these are from artists that take the anti-AI stance. I gotten so bad that they insulted my mother. Now, my mother is no longer alive. She died 15 years ago. But she was an author herself of poems. And I defended myself by saying that I wanted to be an author just like her. In the comment thread of this page, I put up a AI generated book cover of what the book cover was going to be. It wasn't the final one, but because I was, I liked it so much that I used it as the final artwork. I got a lot of congratulations comments. This is great. Some people actually came to my defense and said, don't worry about what these people say. Keep doing this. Don't worry about what people said. I appreciate those comments. But there were so many hate comments and violent comments about that. Because there was a bunch of people out there that said, this is not good. Now, I barely use Reddit. And I post there just to ask what the advice they would say. I got some good comments like constructive criticisms and constructive feedback, I should say, about what I should do. And I got some comments about what I should do instead of using AI. And there were some people that have disabilities like I do, and I should point out that I do have disabilities, and that's the point why I used AI. But the people say don't use AI, and there were people that said that they use it and that used it once, and they said that this was not good for them. and they said, don't use AI, use some things like dictation and all that. And they understood where I came from. But the vast majority of comments were very hateful. I'm not justifying all the comments. In fact, I had to report all of them, and hence why I'm making this video on YouTube, and why it's going to be put up on Facebook. In fact, why I'm putting this up on YouTube is because this book has internet spreadability. It became, my opinion, went all over social media, on Google, on Google Books. My book actually is on some indie bookstores' websites, on Barnes and Noble. In fact, my library carries the only copy of my book. And what people didn't understand was that was a big thing. And I had to defend my reputation because now it's all over the internet, on Google, on some indie, like I said, indie bookstores' websites. That's how big it got from February, when it was officially published, to now, 4 months later. And I didn't think about it much until now, until I just left it alone, until these people started just obliterating me and destroying my health, my self-confidence. And I'm not a very confident person. I don't like talking to the camera. I have social anxiety, and I just do this because it's helping me grow. I know that AI is a very controversial topic. I watch Penguin Zero. I watch other people talk about AI and how it is destroying the planet. When I hear that data centers that make ChatGPT or other platforms such as that take all the water and other materials of the planet just to produce this, it makes me upset. Why I use it? It's because I thought it would be helpful for my benefit. And when ChatGPT first came out in 2022, I just used it sparingly. Thought this was just going to be a one-time use. In fact, I thought it was just going to go and stay for a little bit and then disappear. And unfortunately, it has not. And I come to realize that people do not like AI. It's becoming more and more out there and used a lot. So why am I making this video? Why am I talking about this? I'm still going to defend the fact that I am an author. I have to come out and say that I don't appreciate the fact that I had all these comments in the last 24 to 25 hour period on my social media telling me that I was lazy, or I'm not a good author, or I am not an author, I'm just using AI as a ghostwriter. And I'm just using it to build my wealth. It hasn't really done that, I should say. I should really tell you the truth. I didn't receive a dime. Okay? I have not done anything. Yeah, I made the internet famous for about 34 hours. So, that's all that AI has done. Now, I also should defend, I'm not very good at making lyrical prose. And also not good at describing things. I'm not going to sit here and give you the sob story. I'm not here to describe everything. I'm here to post a video talking about why I'm still going to defend AI's usage as a bad thing. I still think AI is a bad thing, yes. I should have known that AI was not going to be a good thing for writing. I'm still going to say, yeah, I should have not used AI. I should have used other things. And that's all I should have said. But people went down a rabbit hole of saying very nasty things. And I know that I'm going to be given a very stern talking to by a lot of people online. And I know the comments of this video here are going to say a lot of shit. Like, you're not an author, or you're not worthy of writing, or you're not worthy of doing this. Your mother's not proud of you. Well, I'm looking at a portrait of her right here. Her portrait's right there. I'm going to give you a short history lesson of what my mother used to do. Before AI was a thing, before it was the scope as it is today, how big AI has become today. This is 2010, 2011, so it's about 16 years before. In fact, this is roughly about 17 years ago, before ChatGPT, Claude, all those chatbots ever existed. My mom used to sit at a desktop and would go to Google, hell, Microsoft Word, before it was a subscription, and spend hours writing poems, religious poems, but poems nonetheless. And then when she was done, she would print them and give them to our neighbors. This is before we moved to the current location I live in. I'm not gonna tell you where. Who cares? And she would give them to our neighbors and our church family and her friends. She would mail them to her girlfriend back where she used to live. And I knew one day that I would follow in her footsteps. She said one day that she wants to write a book. I have her books on my bookshelf. It's not a huge collection, but I have some books that she kept. And she used to be a avid reader. One day she would be reading one book, the next day she would read another book. Usually it's like books of like chick flicks. You get the book point. Like example, Eat, Play, Pray, Love. And then of course it was the sequel to it. Next it was a book on Diana, Princess Diana. And next it was I can't remember at the point. Then also she used to read the Magic Treehouse to me and my brother. She used to read that. Mary Papa was born. But she was a big avid reader in my house. And she wanted to write. She wanted to write a novel one day. She never got the chance to. Someone said to her that she should have written a memoir based on her life with us because of our life story. And I will tell you that story in another video one day. One day I'll tell you that story. It's a multi-part story. But she never got the chance to. And of course, years later, a teacher would tell me that same thing, and I would say, one day I'll do that. But it ran in the the point I'm making is, it runs in the family, and I wanted to do that. When I turned 16, I started writing my first fantasy novel without the use of AI. And then COVID happened, and I never got to do that. I just got a job, and life happened. And life happened again. I got friends. I went traveling. Life happened. And then I discovered I had ADHD. That's why I kept pushing the project back. Late in life, I was 28. I know that people are going to say this is not an excuse, you should do it. I know that. I know that very clearly. That when you don't know that you have autism, ADHD, rejection sensitivity dysphoria, and then you have all these other things layered on each other, like this, it's difficult. It's not impossible, but it's difficult. That's not me making excuses like most of the comments were projecting onto me. It was me trying to defend the fact that I kept getting all these late diagnoses, and then I explained why I kept delaying all my aspirations. An excuse, I keep looking away. That's me having autism. I don't look at the camera, okay? Not being shady. This is how I operate. So, I hate to do this. I hate to go on camera and explain a lot. I hate to explain, and people don't seem to understand that when I was young, I loved acting. I liked the arts. I still do. I like to write. I wrote scripts at a fast pace. In fact, when I was in high school, about 3 years after my mother died, I wrote a play like this. Now, as I keep getting, my mental health keeps getting, better with therapy, but as my diagnosis of ADHD keeps coming out and I realize, wow, it's just me, and I discover that's me. It explains why my attention span gets shorter. And why I realize, that's why I can't sit for hours and write. Not like Stephen King when he has to write for 4 hours at a day. I wish I had that attention span. Excuse me. But I'm not Stephen King. I'm not Alice Oseman. Though I love those authors a lot and I have all their books on my bookshelves. I'm not those people. I love reading their books. Hell, I wrote to Stephen King asking for his advice, and his office wrote back to me saying, this is what I suggest you do. This is what Stephen does. This is what he suggests he does for you. What his advice would be if he were to sit with you and gave his advice. And I appreciate that advice. Now, and also, hence why I drink coffee. I drink coffee to stimulate my brain. If I didn't drink coffee, I would not write. I wouldn't written all my books or short stories or whatever it is. I want to write. You know what I wanted to be growing up? An actor. But because of my epilepsy, I can't. I can't face the flashing lights. I can't be on stage. So I pivoted to be a playwright, a writer of plays and books, so I can at least get somewhere. But the people online said, no, we are going to judge you and see if you can fit into the mold of society. It doesn't matter if I continue to tell you all this, but I'm not here to rant and rave and complain. That's not my intention here. But I have to come on here and keep defending myself for this X amount of long time. And I know people are not going to watch this video because I'm such a small creator on YouTube that has done these videos in the past where I had to explain myself and explain my background, explain my family history, explain the fact that writing is in my blood. Creativity is in my family. Hell, in my own mother's background. That's why I take after her. Why I'm in therapy for this. And people online are in their right to justify that AI should not be in the workforce, in the creativity workforce. I understand that AI is a controversial topic. When I'm very transparent about using AI, which I'm not lying about because I did use AI, and I say, listen, and I typed it out, listen, I used AI, this is why I used it, this is the circumstances as to why I didn't lie about using AI. I used it for this purpose, and then I give my explanation as to why. And that's the reason. I didn't just say, oh, I wrote a book in like 3 days. I used AI, and I took my time using it. Should it if I not, the question is, should I have not used AI to slow down my speech because I have the speech impediment? So I'm going to slow down and say that question again. Should I have not used AI in the first place? No. Should I have just written it by hand or used dictation if it needed to be? Yes, because that's a different way of using it. Hell, there's a program called Grammarly that has gotten better that can assist me. Should I use that instead of AI? Or if I did use ChatGPT, I should have just used it for a very different purpose. Use it to clarify, or use it as an actual resource as to research instead of using it to write. That's why I should have used ChatGPT instead of using it to write for me. That's what I should have done. Yes, to all those questions. Instead, I took the lazy route. Yes, I'm not gonna lie here. I took the lazy route because I thought in my brain that it would help me. And I thought it did help. I will admit, I thought it would help. But people online became very hateful. And I got very, I'm not kidding, I got very, very nasty replies. Some of the replies, most of the replies, were very helpful critiques as to what I should do moving forward. And there were very helpful comments, one of which said that they were suffering like me, had 5 motor skills. One comment, I'm not going to tell you the name, but this user on Facebook and one user on Reddit said that these people individually had ADHD, one from Facebook, and the other one had 5 motor skills and had a disease in the fingers. They both use dictation on their phone as well as online. They use a dictation app. And they said they understand where I come from. They understand it's not easy to type for a very long X amount of time. I read their comment and they said, yeah, I understand where you're coming from, but using AI to write is not helpful. Yeah, you thought it was helpful in the beginning and you thought, wow, this would be a game changer for you. You thought this was the this would be helpful for you. You thought this was a good avenue when they revealed this is not helpful. And then they got a reply from this person saying, no, he's just being a lazy asshole. The actual comment, I need to find the paper. I wrote it down somewhere, that I'm going to paraphrase what the comment said, because I wrote down a lot of replies that were very nasty. The paraphrase of this comment was, no, he's just making excuses. He can't write because he can't. He's stupid and the R word. I'm not gonna say it. That hurt. That actually hurt. I sit here on a gorgeous day. You can tell that in the sun. An idea came to my head when I wrote The Overlordian. It first became an original idea as an idea for the platform Wattpad, that fan fiction website. And then it was transformed as a ballet idea. Yes, I write classical music. Then I realized, no, this is way back in last year, 2025. Let's actually publish it. Let's write it. And then I told myself, don't use AI. And what did I do? I used AI. And a little bit, and I just kept writing. By hand, by the way, by typing on a Word document. At first I liked the idea. And then I said, I can't write lyrical, like Madeline Miller or Homer. Homer is different, but I'm using it as an example. I thought it would be good to try AI, and I just kept going. And going. And going. And I liked it when it was produced. Because it looked like it gave me this lyrical like prose, and it gave me when I hoped I could write, but I could never write. It gave me the prose that I could never write. However, as comments on this thread on Facebook told me, and I didn't know, I honestly did not know that AI would steal from people. While I had no intention of doing that, that's what AI is doing. And I kept saying, that's not what I'm doing. And the comment said, the reply came after saying, no, I know. The person said, that's true. You're not intentionally doing it. That's what the program is intentionally doing. That's what the AI program is programmed to do. So, what I decided to do, I deleted the platform, KDP, Kindle Direct Publishing, account that I used to publish the AI book. Because I actually charged people to buy not just a Kindle version, but also a print version of the book. And I said I had to restart. I had to restart all over again. I have to restart all over again and say, this is not good. And something that you have to understand, this book, as I said earlier, got a lot of attention on Google. Google put out the name of the book and gave my original pen name a lot of attention. It said, F. Bennett Cole is a new upcoming novelist with a new book, and the Othothnorian, all over Google. And now it has a bar, it has all the panels, and it's showing the book cover and all this. And it's not going to go away, by the way. It's all over Google. I can delete the account and start over. But Google is not going to get rid of it until 80 years from now. And I called a friend who is an author themselves. And they said, yeah, you screwed up. You screwed the pooch, as they said. And something that you should, I'm only going to say this one time. You should know I overthink. I overthink. I constantly get overwhelmed. And I was sitting in my bed yesterday saying, I ruined my career. I ruined everything. I made myself a fool. I should have done research about AI more than I knew how bad it was. Needless to say, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not devoting myself to AI writing. If I had to rely on AI, it's just going to be like a research thing. I have to restart the entire book. The plot of the book was all from me. The plot of Cassius and Marcus, if you have read the book, I'm going to restart the book, and I had a better idea of how I'm going to phrase it and how it's going to be portrayed in the book. Taking inspiration from that Linda, it's just gonna be one POV. If you have a copy of the original version of the book that is AI generated, please keep it. Throw it away if you want. But I would encourage you to keep it, because I don't want you to just throw it into the garbage and somebody gets it and then, all that. So keep it. It's on me. Again, I wrote the book. I come on here for 30 minutes trying to defend myself. I know I'm going to get heat. I'm not expecting a lot of people to give me sympathy. I'm not asking for sympathy. I'm here to defend myself and clear my name. Take accountability that, yes, I used AI for the purposes that I did use it for. I'm trying to just say, hey, I used AI. And I shouldn't have used it. Lesson learned. If you are a amateur author like myself, please don't use AI, because you're going to get a lot of backlash, death threats, and a lot of hate. And especially death threats, because I got some. Not a lot, but a few. And a lot of hate. A lot of hate from the anti-AI community, who rightfully so, and I'm not saying that they are not justified. They are justified for how they feel. But they are justified for how they feel. And they had every right to call me out for what I did. But I also have the right to defend myself and try to clear my name, because I do have a reputation. And a lot of people say, you don't have a reputation. I do, because my mother is attached to it. If my mom wanted to be an author and it passes down the family, then of course it does. My mom died 14 years ago. And a lot of people started attacking her, calling her a bad mom for raising a lazy, a lazy loser for writing. It wasn't much, but a lot of people did. A lot of hate comments were saying it. And I had to delete a lot of them. I had to block and report them. And this is on Facebook, not Reddit. Reddit gave me some great advice, by the way, because I asked for it. And they gave me very helpful advice. When I asked if I could just start over, delete and start over, so I don't overthink and overwhelmed, because I explained why, as I'm doing right now. They said, yes, start fresh, breathe, it's not the end of the world. And that's what I did. I got one very nice comment from this lady, this user who is a lady, and she said, you don't need to cater to my advice, that this is what I suggest. You don't need to use AI. She's anti-AI. And she said, you used AI and you thought that this was to help you. Now you know that AI is bad, not just for the environment, but the planet as a whole. Take this and learn. AI is bad. You thought it was going to help you, and now you know it's not. AI steals from people, even though you never intentionally did. And please don't take this out of context. This is literally what she said. Don't take this out of context. AI steals from people. And whether you did not mean to steal from people, which I know you did not, that's the purpose of AI. It's a long comment on this post. The end of the comment says, take time to breathe, restart, and write without AI. If you have have Grammarly, which she suggested, it will help you fix any prose that you've written. It will give you assistance. It will not write for you. It will help you properly fix what you're writing. That is what she suggests. And a lot of people said use Grammarly. This is not a sponsor. I'm not asking. This is not a sponsored video, by the way. That is what people said. I'm not here to defend my actions. I now learned that I shouldn't use AI, but I'm here to defend what I tried to use, and now I am going to say I shouldn't have done it. I'm going to take accountability that I shouldn't have done it. One last thing in conclusion. I want to say thank you to all those comments, both on Reddit and some on Facebook, that were trying very hard to defend my reasoning for using AI. That is the main reason why I'm here. There are a lot of people that were defending my reasoning for using AI and now understanding I should not use it. I want to say thank you to those people. To the people that were actually harassing me, literally, they were harassing. How about you just go to hell? I gave my reasoning. I gave my reasons for why I did it. I had no idea. Because I'm autistic, I don't know better. I thought I was doing it to help me. I thought it was going to improve my writing, when in reality it was not only hurting my writing, it was hurting it was hurting the planet. Excuse me. I gave my reasonings. You weren't willing to understand. You made me a villain, if I were to use a word to project here in a better sense, to justify it. And you portrayed me as something else. I know this video is a long video, but I had to explain. Yeah, sorry, cut off there. I don't know what happened. But, in conclusion, I'm not going to be worried about what I have here. So, thank you for listening, and I'll be uploading this on my YouTube channel. So, thank you for understanding, and I shall see you in the next video.